Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is America's Mayor live from Palm Beach. Right behind me, that big black thing there, that's Palm Beach. It's the road to Mar-a-Lago. Don't tell anybody. There's a secret way. So, speaking of Mar-a-Lago, they put out a new portrait of Melania Trump yesterday, and it is quite different than the other. So let's look. Want to switch over and show this new portrait of her? There it is, right there. Now she had a hard time. I mean, you can see why she had a hard time getting on Vogue. She's just too beautiful for Vogue, right? I mean, they used to putting on the First Stepmother and Kamala Harris and people like that. They really do not want a beautiful woman on. But you know, the reason the reason that I find this really interesting, that's a very I would say a businesslike. It's a serious, not at all a harsh face, but a pleasant face, almost a smile, but I'd say a businesslike photo. It's not really a portrait, right? It's a photo, right, Ted? Yeah, yeah. They'll do a portrait, you know, at the end, but I think this is what they're going to put out as her official portrait, as they will. You saw the presidents, which the presidents, I think you just show somebody and they'll do what he wants. I think you show it to Z and say, you know, stop screwing around, and Z will relieve himself involuntarily. But this one is quite it's quite businesslike, right? Wouldn't say it's glamorous. I wouldn't say it's too harsh. I would say it's beautiful. Well, we have a beautiful first lady, which is why she's never on Vogue, because Vogue just wants ugly people. You know who really is shocking us? Certainly Ted and me, and I think Stephen too. Fetterman. When Fetterman ran for office, he couldn't talk, right? And, you know, I know he was sick, but it seemed a little odd to have a senator, since all they do is talk. They don't do anything else, right? They talk and they vote, or they try to avoid voting, but they talk a lot. He couldn't talk. Now, the guy is looking for a chapter in Profiles in Courage. He goes on The View with probably the dumbest people in America. That's why they're so interesting. People watch him because every day they want to know what kind of stupid or dumb thing are they going to say. And here, now, this has really been very bad. I don't know which two. Two of them were actually taken to the hospital with a nervous breakdown after they heard this. But I don't think they know how to respond. He really just completely fooled them. Want to play that, Ted?
Yeah, we'll play it. We'll play it right now. We're going to start it from the beginning.
That's kind of where we're at. Early on.
Or do you anticipate that there's going to be changes that we should be prepped for that we're not thinking about?
I mean, honestly, I haven't been surprised by anything now. I mean, he's been doing essentially what he actually campaigned on that. He announced he is going to pardon the J6 individuals. He is going to absolutely go after the border. So there's a lot of things that
I'm not sure it's the one I wanted.
I mean, criticize a lot of it, and I don't agree with everything either, but it's undeniable he actually ran on that and been really upfront. He said, I am your reputation, and he's, you know, kind of making those moves. So that's kind of where we're at. Early on, immediately after the election, I was like, hey, you know, we have a choice. You know, we can freak out and follow every other thing around, you know, like a cat, you know, with a laser, you know, after everyone. But I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be that Democrat. You know, for me, there's things I'm going to agree with, I'm going to disagree with, but I'm in the business of finding wins for Pennsylvania and for the nation, and engaging the president. I think.
So for them, this must have been this had to be a shock. to, I mean, first of all, they don't have a great deal of brain capacity to process things like that. Imagine the meeting with Trump was actually positive and really good, and it's a good thing to actually sit down and talk about how to solve these problems, even if you don't agree. I mean, these what are they? Four of them? I mean, these are like bouncing off the wall, stupid idiots. It's an embarrassment, and probably a sign still of a great deal of problems in America that people actually watch them, other than for to make fun of them. I mean, they create. I do have to say, they create enormous amount of material for conservative commentators. And there are a whole, if you go on YouTube, there are a whole podcast devoted just to making fun of them. I can think of 4 that are devoted just to making fun of them, ripping them apart. Whenever I feel a little sad or something, I want to have some fun, I put it on and listen to some idiotic thing that Whoopi says, or some ignorant thing. What's that one that really scares babies? The one who scared, he's got a face like he's scared babies.
Yeah.
I mean, I never watch them except where somebody picks out the stupid and dumb things that they say. But imagine Fetterman saying that, he liked talking to Trump. Wow. Boy. Then, the big one was, the whole trial in New York was just politics. They were like shocked. What? Yeah, it was all politics. Everybody knows that. He really didn't do anything wrong. I don't know how this guy, well, I guess maybe Ted, he was sick. And now the true guy comes out. Right. We sure were hard on him when he was running, but who knew? Who knew? You should know that one of the people that Trump pardoned, Matthew Huddle, was killed in an altercation with the police in Indiana, with the Jasper County Sheriff's Office. And they'd have put out no details about it. The guy himself went to, looks like a fairly minor J6 violator, if a violator at all. He got a 6-month sentence. He was not, he was convicted only of a misdemeanor. And there was no violence involved in what he did, like violence against the police or anything like that. So probably one of the easier ones to pardon. But he was in some kind of an altercation with the police. The only fact revealed about it from the Indiana police is that he had a gun in, but they say in the car. So I guess we'll learn more about it. But and since the left-wing media hasn't made much of it, it sounds like there isn't much to it. But we'll have to see. So Ted, do we have our guest yet? Well, if we don't have our guest yet, I'm going to cover something else that I want to cover. And am I allowed to? I got to get permission. Got to get permission from Ted. I want to express my sympathy, because I feel really, really bad that Selena Gomez is so upset. I mean, a poor thing. She's crying her eyes out because Trump and Holman are throwing out murderers, rapists, pedophiles, people who engage in child trafficking and female trafficking. I mean, you look at the representative group just yesterday that were caught. I mean, one of them sexually abused a 3-year-old. What a shame that he's being treated so harshly. I mean, it really is a shame. She said afterwards, when she had to take her thing down, that apparently it's not okay to show empathy Yeah, empathy for the guy in Massachusetts who came from the Dominican Republic illegally, and oh, gee, I mean, he just Caesar Polanco. Uh, Caesar killed a 25-year-old girl, Judith Guevara, who was pregnant. What a shame! What a horrible thing to throw him out of the country. Selena is crying over it. She even said, "How can my people be treated like this? I didn't know that somebody who killed a 25-year-old pregnant girl is one of her people. I don't know what people is she." Then this isn't. I mean, this one isn't quite as bad, but at Garlis Vegas 21 has been was arrested for kicking a police officer. And of course, nobody held her in jail and nobody reported her to immigration because it's illegal to do that in New York. But she was let out without bail. Do you know she didn't show up? Isn't that a surprise? Since 95% of them don't show up, I don't even know why they're getting all excited about it. But this is one of our people too, who they kick police. Oh, and then there's the one who threw the lady on the subway tracks, who was another one of the illegals. That's one of her people. So can we show Selena? Do you have Selena? I mean, I don't want to embarrass her, but I really would love to interview her and find out, because she does say, "I feel so bad for my people." I'm trying to figure out who her people are. Do you know who Selena Gomez? Well, do you know who Selena Gomez is? First of all,
Oh, Selena,
she's an actress. See, even I know
singer.
that. She's not a singer, is she?
oh, maybe. Oh, is she an actress?
See,
She started as one and became the other, right?
I don't consider. Don't get angry at me now. I don't consider Taylor Swift a singer.
Taylor's
No, I consider her a noisemaker.
okay.
I consider Maria Callas a singer.
I'm trying. I have her. Yeah, this is Selena
That's called a
Gomez
voice.
crying.
Oh, look at poor Selena. Oh, Selena, I feel so sorry for you. I wish those rapists weren't thrown out. It'd be so much better if they were here to rape you.
Attacked.
Oh, poor
Children.
Selena.
Okay, and our guest is now entered, so
Okay.
we can transfer from this to.
Well, let her
So
would you let her
sorry.
finish
I wish I
crying?
could do
You really are
something, but I
insensitive.
can't. I don't know what to
Look at
do.
poor Selena.
I'll try everything.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, did she cry for Laken Riley?
Yeah. I mean,
just want to say that I.
what about the guy? He hasn't gone to trial yet. The guy who was here from Venezuela, and then he was looking for a girl to rape in Athens, Georgia, and he picked on poor Laken Riley. Biden still doesn't know who she is. He thinks she's Lincoln Riley. You're not shedding any tears for her. And these idiots actually endorse people for office.
All right. Well, we have.
Is she, by the way, is she an actress or a singer?
She was a singer first, I'm told.
Oh, what did she sing? Doodle, 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 doodle.
She had some pop hit back in the day.
Oh, really? May I have that, please?
Yeah. So you'll want this, Mayor. We have our guest, of course, with the news about DeepSeek, I believe is what it has rocked the tech world and beyond. So we thought we'd bring on our friend and a tech expert to join us. We have with us now Allison Wynn. She's a former Democrat, a former Obama fundraiser, now supports President Trump. And she is an expert on all things Silicon Valley, including she was a member of the PTA at Palo Alto High. Is that the name of the school, Allison?
I was the team president for Palo Alto High School. It's one of the largest public school districts in Northern California, ground zero for Silicon Valley.
Well, Allison, you know, we're interested in your perspective on DeepSeek, and how much is this a problem now, or is this more of a wake-up call?
I think it's really a wake-up call, Mayor. Thanks for having me here. I think it's really too soon to make an assessment. As you know, you're a national security expert yourself, and sometimes when these new things come up, we need to not overreact and just, assess the situation. I think it could be a Sputnik moment for us, just like the Russians got Sputnik satellite into space, and it was a wake-up call for America saying, hey, we need to step up, we need to collaborate, stop like infighting, stop suppressing censorship, free speech and doing censorship. Let's have these tech companies work together instead of being so ultra competitive. And you see President Trump doing that with Stargate, bringing people together and collaborating.
You think that the administration had foreknowledge of this, and that's why they went ahead with that deal last week? Seems rather strange that they did this gigantic deal last week, and now, China puts out this thing about having a faster and bigger capacity, which of course,
Well,
they're going to lie.
well, we can talk about the psych ops from the Chinese
Right?
side
Yeah.
as well
Yeah.
as from the American side. These things are, things are leaked back and forth. China's very big. They developed this on NVIDIA chips. And I don't think it's a small company in China developing this. I think it is a nation state effort, and they are deflating the actual number of $6 million to make it appear like, oh, out of nowhere, that they're so creative, they're these wonderful geniuses, and they were working alone, and yet, they came up with this, breakthrough technology that other people have spent a combined $1 trillion to do, and yet they were able to, out of nowhere, pull this rabbit out of the hat. I don't think that's necessarily true, and we're just examining the code because it's all open source. It looks like they stole a lot of stuff from
I'm
ChatGPT.
sure.
This is a fact. And so I'm not going to name my sources, but top researchers from some of the biggest institutions from America, we believe a lot of the technology was stolen. You can look at the pre-training. It acts and looks like it's ChatGPT. DeepSeek R1 thinks it's ChatGPT. So, they stood in the sidelines for many months, for a year and a half, to really deconstruct and learn how we did generative AIs, these American tech companies. They went in, they copied a lot of that technology. So they are copycats, but yet we have to give credit where credit is due. They
Sure.
added a new secret sauce, which is absolutely delicious. And that secret sauce, basically, let me explain. The new technology is that before, with generative AI, your baby was only able to speak one word at a time, and we would string that into a sentence. And that's what you would get in your Chat GPT or Perplexity chatbot. So now with DeepSeek, your baby can speak 2 words at a time. So 2 words technically is a sentence. So the baby, our AI baby, is now speaking complete sentences. It was crawling
Right.
and now it's walking. So it is.
Are we capable of doing that?
Yes, we can, because they open source the technology. That means the source code is completely open. We see their training data, we see their code, and the licensing allows anyone to copy that technology. So, I mean, this goes back to like a psych ops. Like, why did China do this? Maybe
Yeah.
before like the trade negotiations and tariffs, to say, hey, China, we're good people too. We're okay, we've stolen, we've like been a bad
Right.
actor, but we're humans, and we are creative, and we're making a contribution to this golden age of AI, and we deserve a seat at the buffet. I don't know. That's my kind of like psych op read of
Well,
the
yeah. I mean, look,
situation.
it if it really represented a massive advantage, then it wouldn't make sense to leak it. I mean, if I were China or the United States, I'd rather have this capacity and they are not knowing. All our knowing about it does is, as you say, become another Sputnik. Well, you couldn't hide Sputnik. So it has to be that whatever they have, they're exaggerating, because if they had a massive lead on us, the best thing to do is to keep your mouth shut and let us rely on our faulty intelligence. So look, when the Soviet Union fell, what we found out was for 40 years we overestimated them. Their capacity to do damage to us, we had probably multiplied by 4. Now, that was good. I mean, I am all in favor of anything that motivates us to stay ahead in all these areas, and also to realize that military spending is not the only thing, or traditional military spending is not the only thing that's going to keep us ahead. Because if we fall behind here, they can undermine all that military spending and all those weapons. So I see this as a good development.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a big wake-up call. I think the market is overreacting. I think people are overreacting. There's a lot to do to get to AGI. That's artificial general intelligence, right? And so the baby was crawling, now it's walking. It was having one word utterance, now it's speaking somewhat incomplete sentences. And so let's have the baby speak paragraphs. Let's have it recite Shakespeare and write Shakespeare. So there's a lot to do, and we can, lots of room for American innovation to grow and work together and focus on innovation, entrepreneurship, creativity, instead of censorship, instead of suppressing American creativity, restricting our freedom. I think with President Trump, he is opening the gates for this golden age of innovation. But first, he's got to get water to us Californians. So, we were
Yeah.
we're living in a third world country here, Mayor.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish
I
you were
think
the mayor
maybe,
of LA.
well, I'll come out there and fill up your fire hydrants. Okay.
I would
Maybe we
really
should start with
appreciate that.
putting water in the fire hydrants. That's what you see, I think that your Democrats think the fire hydrants are for dogs to urinate. And then have no idea that they're actually meant to fight fires. That would be too much practical thinking for these morons.
Yeah, I agree. We have to get all the right things, the practical things. We have to clean up the streets. We have to secure the border, right? For us to be creative, the baseline, the basics have to be provided. And that's what the government is supposed to do. And it hasn't been doing that for a long time, Mayor. And so I'm just really grateful and hopeful that President Trump is now elected. He's
Well,
done so much in the last 7 days. And hopefully now that like the government can provide like the baseline infrastructure so that we, the citizens, can be creative, we can work, and we can be productive and have this meaningful AI arms race with China, and really like work on getting and raising that baby and having a really full-fledged AI system that is improving the productivity of all Americans.
thank you very much, Allison. Once again, your explanation was both very good and very accessible, able to understand it. And I appreciate it, and my audience appreciates it greatly. Thank you. And good luck, and stay safe out
Okay,
there in
thank
that
you.
strange alien place.
Called California.
Yeah, California. Man. Yeah, they lost sight of the fact that that's what, in New York, we used to call them. I was going to tell you this. I don't remember when I teased you with the expression Johnny Pump. That's what New Yorkers used to call fire hydrants. Yeah. And when we had very hot summers, we'd open the Johnny Pumps to get water. And, didn't have things like in California pools. And then the fire department would get very upset about that, because then the fire hydrant, when they show up, might not have water in it, which is the reason why we have so many, so you can go to the next one very quickly. Or we also had as a backup, because we had a plan B and C, pumpers. Pumpers contain water. Gee, that's novel. Have water to fight a fire. You see all those people in Pasadena who were fighting fires with something else. Dust, gravel. Save us from liberals. Please, that's a prayer. So we'll be right back after these advertisements.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
This is Rudy Giuliani back with America's Mayor live from Palm Beach in a free part of America, not ruled by Democrats. The reason I'm here in Palm Beach, one more example of it is yesterday, a gentleman, or not a gentleman, an animal named Marquise Brazilas threw a woman on the subway. Well, he had been arrested in the last 6 months 3 times and released. Seemed like the judge, was just waiting for him to do this. And they don't give you the name of the judge, which really annoys me because I would, put his picture up and let you know who he is, like I used to do when I was mayor. Whenever judges did this, I'd hold a press conference to tell you who they were, put out a picture of them, and look at the rest of the cases in which they were delivering animals and criminals to our streets to hurt our population, largely because they were ignorant liberals. But this was in Kings County. Well, it goes back and forth between Kings County and Alvin Bragg's Manhattan. And basically, he sexually assaulted a woman. This is before he threw the woman on the tracks. Sexually assaulted a woman. That was back on December 21st. That's just a little while ago, right? Then he had another arrest on the 19th for illegal entry. And then another one another one in January for groping a woman on the subway. But that was not enough to require keeping him in jail. He wasn't like a danger to the public. I hope now that by the way, thank God the woman didn't die because through no fault of his, he pushed her and the train just came in and she banged against the train and came back the other way. She was injured, but she didn't die. Thank God. But he was trying to kill her. So maybe they'll let him out now so that he can actually kill somebody. It's almost as if they want New Yorkers killed. So I will tell you this, and I want you just to focus on this for a moment. I could probably, without any doubt, I can tell you there's a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 8,000 people walking the streets of New York that would not be walking the streets if I were the mayor or if Bloomberg were the mayor. All of this changed in 2019 under Andrew Cuomo, who now wants to be mayor. He passed a bill that did away with bail. You can only hold people really basically for murder. Otherwise, you got to put them back out on the street. So that's why all the stores are leaving, because you can do all the looting you want in stores and you'll be back out on the street. The arrest will just be a brief interruption in your making money by stealing. Same thing with drug dealers. Same thing with people who beat up cops. That's why when they do this J6 stuff, oh, they were violent with the police. These people did 6 months, a year, 2 years in jail. These people were held without bail. They weren't released without bail. They were held without bail. Hundreds of them. These people were let out. Sometimes they complain that they're delayed too long. This guy committed murder with the assistance of the district attorney in Manhattan, Bragg, and the district attorney in Brooklyn. This murder would not have happened if there was anything close to a decent, sensible government in either one of these two places. A guy like this had demonstrated over and over again that he was a serious danger and should have been held. Wasn't, and if this were the only case, okay. This happens all the time, every day. I don't cover it all the time. I used to when I had a radio show that was largely broadcast in New York, but I can't. I mean, that's all I cover. So RFK is coming up for a hearing on Thursday. And the New York Post has greeted him with an editorial that is vicious, absolutely vicious, calling him a hazard. And they hope the Senate does Trump a favor and keeps him out of the administration, largely because of all the things he said and he did when he was a Democrat activist. I am willing to tell you, because I not only knew him when he was a Democrat activist, he used to sue me when he was a Democrat activist. And sometimes he sued me for the stupidest damn things. And sometimes he sued me because it really was valid. It was mostly over the Hudson River, some other projects. He was wrong at times, and he was right at times. And there were times in which we settled with him because he was pointing out a problem that really existed. And then there were times he went too far. He did have a tendency to be overzealous. But that's not the worst quality. And he's realistic enough to know who the boss is. And there is a real plus side to him. He is the first one, and by far to this day, has done the best work on what happened during the pandemic. His book reads as a conviction of Fauci for bribery of the worst kind. I mean, and Fauci's bribery, please notice that Fauci's pardon goes back to 2014. That's long before COVID. I would say you certainly have enough to allege that Fauci was taking bribes well before COVID. Thank God he pointed it out. Now, I think there's a way to still prosecute him. Fauci the rat. But I'm not going to tell you how, because if I tell you how, he and his lawyers will fix it. But I think that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel know it. And don't be surprised. But in any event, I don't think we would have gotten there without Kennedy. The book is simply brilliant. And a bunch of things I disagree with him on. But I really do think we need somebody who can take on the pharmaceutical industry that may not be quite as crooked as the military-industrial complex, but it's sure getting there. And it's none of it is good for us and our health. There's a heck of a lot of excess money floating around so that bribes and kickbacks can be paid. Enormous amounts. It is true that it costs a lot to develop all of these very, very new medicines. And it also is true there's a tremendous amount of corruption that surrounds it. And somebody needs to take a really good look at reestablishing the pharmaceutical industry for the good of the people. And he sure is dedicated to that. And yep, some of his health ideas go beyond things that I agree with. And some of them I agree with, I just can't do them. Right? Like, I'm not giving up hamburgers. I'm sorry. I probably should. You know, when I smoke cigars, I never encourage other people to do it, but I really enjoyed them. I occasionally enjoy one now, but not the way I used to. So I think this will be a very, very positive addition to the administration. And I think any of the fears that the New York Post developed here of his, going off and being a crazy left-wing activist, that's not going to happen in the Trump administration. Just not going to happen. And I will tell you this, he is not an unrealistic guy. Also, I think over a period of time, his ideas have developed. Take a look at his book. I'll get it out tomorrow, and I'll refer you to the chapters about communism and about communism during the Roosevelt administration. It's a whole other side to Robert Kennedy, based on a real understanding of what his father started as, which was an investigator of communist infiltration in the Roosevelt and Truman administrations. So you have to have other opinions in your administration. When I became mayor of New York, because I ran a city of 5 Democrats to every 1 Republican, I got elected with Democrat votes. I had a conservative Republican deputy mayor. I had a Republican that you would now describe as a rhino. I had a Democrat, and I had a member of the Liberal Party. And they didn't agree, and they didn't agree with me. But I made the decisions. And when they recommended something that I thought was too left-wing, well, it was like Lincoln. I had the 1 vote. Remember that story about Lincoln? The cabinet votes 12-0, and then Lincoln does the opposite. And one of his brilliant, like Seward, says, "I thought we were a democracy." He said, "We are a democracy, and I have the only vote." I think that's true of Trump too. So it's really interesting, Ted, with all the debate over TikTok. Is TikTok operating now or not operating? Since I never use it, I don't know.
I believe it's still operating. The president put a hold on any total ban. There's some plans in place.
I'm not an expert, nor can I make a judgment on, if they're more inappropriate or more dangerous in terms of their content than the other social networks. I do have a very strong view that China uses them to spy on us. And I really do think this is an area where the president's wrong. But here's the interesting thing. So they must be operating. So all these government workers who have now been required to work are complaining on TikTok. Like a bunch of crybabies, described as petulant government workers, are being mocked online by others because they are so upset that President Trump has ordered them back to work. And they have to work for Ted. These people have to work for 5 days a week. One of them saying, I'm upset. Another one saying they're broken up about it. Another one saying it's effed up. It happened. I had to go in for 5 days a week this week. What a day to end a week. 5 o'clock on a Friday, got our notice, effective March 1st. We're back in the office 5 days a week. No telework. And that's the most effed up part of it. I'm so upset. I'm so mad. Like, this effing sucks. This sucks. And the crazy thing is, we've only just begun. We're just getting
Is not only
to work. This is really effed up.
it happens. What a way
Having a
to end
breakdown over
the
having to go to
week.
work. Maybe they'll
5
have
o'clock
such
on a
serious
Friday,
breakdowns, they'll never go back
got
to
our
work and we'll be
notice,
rid of them.
effective March 10th. We're back in the
I,
office
has he ever established
5
that
days a week.
large government
No
office
telework.
in Antarctica
And that's the most
where
fucked up
they can
thing
do like
is not
substantial
only
research
did you
on
issue
ice?
this executive order, Cheeto, but the
It's a
executive
place to
order
send all these people
trumps,
if you have
unintended,
to keep them. You know, I
and
hate wasting money
rescinds
on them, but
any
I
previously agreed
don't
upon
mind
policy
wasting money on
agreements.
them if they don't.
So
Who
before
you have somebody there? Who is that? Is that one of them? Oh, yeah. Let's hear a complaint. This would be very, very interesting. I mean, I sympathize.
I am so
I
mad. And
sympathize with
honestly,
like I do with Selena Gomez.
I am so upset.
Go to work.
I am so mad. And
What is she
honestly,
saying?
I also
I can't hear her.
feel for the parents. They're going to need to figure out childcare. They're going to have to commute. So many people don't live in DC and have
You
to
have to
drive so
commute.
far every single
Oh,
day. Like, this
I think
fucking
she's crying.
sucks. This sucks. And
Oh
the
yeah,
crazy
this
thing
sucks.
is, we've only just begun.
Oh yeah, I was
We're
reading that.
just getting started on all of this fuckery.
See, I was telling the truth. She was actually saying all that stuff. It's just begun. What does that mean? It's just begun. It means she has to go to work every week.
To President Trump and the change of culture in the federal government. She's saying this is just
They have to
this has
work.
just begun.
They have to be loyal to the
I mean,
United
what
States.
else is coming?
Yeah, what the hell? I mean, they could
They would be accountable at work for once.
they could not work, and then they could leak and double cross and undermine and good. So right here, about 2 miles away, there's a place called Big Mama's House of Sweets. So the guy who owns Big Mama's House of Sweets, otherwise, well, he's Big Mama, but his real name or her real name or whatever it is Shannon DeParo Atkins. Now, Shannon DeParo Atkins is described as a comedy drag queen who counts among her closest friend Casey Anthony. Well, he threatened to kill Trump, and he's been arrested. He's a 46-year-old bakery owner, and when he was arrested for threatening to kill Trump. See, they arrest people now for doing that. They didn't used to. For example, John Sullivan, who did the very suspicious video that ends up with the killing of Ashley Babbitt, had threatened to remove Trump physically and violently several times on Twitter, and was never arrested by anyone for threatening the president. And then encouraged lots of Antifa people to come to Washington and to participate in January 6th. And then stood at the Black Lives Matter Plaza and encouraged people to break into the Capitol the next day, and then led them into the Capitol with a video showing that he broke in a window. And it ends very, very suspiciously, where him knowing exactly where to put his camera to capture the gun that killed Ashley Babbitt. Now, we'll review that one night with Cara Castronova, who's an expert on all things J6. But I want you to retain one thing in your head, because you probably remember the video. When Detective Bird shot her, his claim would have to be, I was afraid she was going to kill me. But much closer to him were two men who were breaking down the door, one with a pole and the other with a helmet. She was furthest from him. She was a little girl. I mean, she was 5'2", a little woman. She was 5'2". One of them was an Antifa member, and the other, we think, is an Antifa member. Never identified. Those are the people you would have shot if you were going to shoot in confusion. Probably he would have shot them unjustifiably had he shot them. But at least they had a weapon in their hands of some kind. She had nothing in her hands. By the way, the standard would be, did he have a reasonable belief that his life was in jeopardy? Now, he didn't have a reasonable belief that his life was in jeopardy, because even the two men, he had 6 cops on his side of the divider, and there were 8 cops on the other side with machine guns. So you tell me how Ashley Babbitt threatened his life. They were trying to come in by breaking down the door, standing up. She was going to come in either on her backside or on her face, which would have made it easy for a 12-year-old to handcuff her. She was killed without the slightest justification and covered up by the criminals on the J6 committee and by the criminal district attorney, who went on to prosecute 1,000 of the J6 people, our criminal attorney general, who went ahead and did 1,000 because Biden criticized him for not doing enough. So then he tried to prosecute everybody in Washington that day because he was getting criticized by Biden for not ending up with numbers that made it sound like the worst crime in the history of America. Do you realize what a travesty that is? You criticizing Trump for pardoning them? Even the ones who might have done some violence to the police, you don't go to jail for the rest of your life for violence to the police. First of all, in New York, you don't go to jail at all. And in Soros DA cities, basically you've got to kill a cop to get treated at all like a criminal, and then you eventually get let out anyway. New York in the last 5 years has let out of jail 29 cop killers. They say 155 cops were injured on January 6th. I've yet to see pictures of an ambulance going in and out of the Capitol that day. There were some, but there sure as hell weren't 155. I haven't seen a single fire set. And every one of the 2020 riots was accompanied by anywhere from a fire to major fires. Oh, by the way, in the summer of 2024, with the university protests in favor of one of the most vicious terrorist groups in the world, Hamas, there were fires in most cases. Do you remember a fire at the Capitol? I don't. Exactly what damage did they do? Oh, some guy put his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk. I guess they were afraid that some of the insider trading stock would fall out by him banging the desk. And then the Sharman guy, who the police held the door for so he could get into the chamber, he didn't do anything. We have the whole tape. He didn't do anything. The cops were laughing at him. Well, he did 14 months in jail. Well, there's got to be a complete and absolute investigation of that, and it all has to be spelled out in detail. And if people need to be prosecuted, they better be prosecuted, because otherwise, if they ever get back into power again, they're going to do the same damn thing. And this is worse than the internment of the Japanese during World War II. Absolutely. At least in World War II, you could see the reason for the confusion. Maybe you don't justify it in retrospect, but you can understand why people would be even unreasonably scared. We'll be right back, and we'll take a look at what happens to you if you're one of these Democrats and you say something nice about Trump. Okay? We'll be right back. Hi.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order.
This is Rudy Giuliani back with America's Mayor Live. Well, before I was telling you that it's still, with all the changes, which I think are going in the right direction, there's still the possibility of having to pay a price for supporting Trump. So that is a picture of Snoop Dogg. I was asked by Stephen if I'd play one of his songs, and I said, God forbid. But in any event, I guess he entertained at some party for Trump on January 17th.
Crypto ball.
Okay. And I don't know if he was paid or not, but he lost 500,000 followers on Instagram, and he lost 20,000 on X, which, however, don't feel too bad for him. He has 88, I think it says he has 88.1 million followers. So what percentage of that is 550? Nothing. So, but still, it's ridiculous that he lost 550,000 because he entertained for the president. And they are accusing him of having taken money from the Trump campaign, but there's no indication that he got paid for it. So I can't tell you. Now, Kim Kardashian, who put out they say an image of the first lady, Melania Trump, wearing what she described as a very stylish outfit at the inauguration. So she was complimentary. She was complimentary of Melania's outfit. She lost 150,000 followers. I mean, I don't think she supported the president. Although, wasn't she instrumental in having the president pass the law that relieved some of the harshness of the 1994 crime bill?
That's right. She was there and present for the signing.
And she was married to that unfortunate nut job, right?
That's right.
The one that the president had lunch with and then got in trouble for having lunch with him because he's supposedly anti-Semitic. He doesn't know what the hell he is.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is obviously, there's something wrong with him.
Yeah. Kanye
West. Yeah. I'm not going to play any of his music either. And Kim Kardashian.
He is considered a really great, songwriter, I will say.
Oh yeah. I know
Kanye's considered,
I know all his songs.
I can't name one, but
yeah, that's so great.
Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, he's so great. Can't even
Kanye West. Yay now. His name is now Yay. He got rid of the K-A-N and just left the Y and the E. Yay.
Well, there are, in this phase of the ceasefire, 28 hostages have been promised. And there are 28 left that have to be delivered. 8 of them are dead. and the animals that constitute Hamas, and to some extent the rest of the Palestinian Authority, will not disclose who the dead ones are. Now that's got to be torture, right? Just assume you're the parents of one of those 28. You got to be worried from the beginning. Are they still alive? Unless you've heard from them, and by and large, nobody's heard from them except the ones that they've exploited. Which, by the way, is an international crime. It's a war crime. Netanyahu and his defense minister have been indicted for absolutely bogus war crimes. These people actually commit them in the wide open. Using civilians to protect you is a war crime. That's all they do. But now we're participating in an agreement in which they are committing war crimes and executing the agreement. I have no idea what we're doing trading hostages. I mean, I don't get it. And it's the one criticism I have of the Israeli government as well. I really think they do more harm than good when they give up 5,000 prisoners for one Israeli. I mean, I don't want to see anybody die, but the calculation there is you get a lot more people killed. That certainly happened with the one that let Sinwar out, right? And now nobody's really covering how many Palestinian murderers are being let out. They're all going to be available for the next round. So God willing, they're going to save some lives. But we don't know how many are really alive. We know of the Americans, there were more dead than alive. So there are 7 Americans left, 4 are dead, and 3 are alive. And why we're waiting for them to decide when to release the Americans completely baffles me. Now, I know it was Biden's agreement, but I'd really like to see Trump say, I want him tomorrow. And if I don't have him tomorrow, there ain't going to be no more Gaza. It'll be a thing of the past, but people will remember it for the Philistines who were there, not you animals. I bet they get delivered just as quickly as the president of Colombia sent the presidential plane to get the hostages after denying entry, for the United States. Actually, I think they ended up sending 2 plane loads instead of just 1. That's what you got to do when you're dealing with bullies and animals and criminals, and you got to be tough. Otherwise, they're going to take advantage of you. And I think this whole situation is completely crazy. Negotiating over hostages. I mean, when it was done in the past, it was done secretly, and they lied about it because you don't want to acknowledge it. And there was some actual wisdom to doing that. There's a family. Let me see if I can find their picture here. This is the family. What a nice family, huh? That's Shiri and Yarden Bibas. It's from the Post. The 2 kids are Shiri and Yarden, and it's the Bibas family. They're Israeli. Those 2 children were taken by the animals when the attack took place. So they've been gone all this time. There have been reports that they were dead, and there have been reports that they're alive, just to torture that family. And we're going to find out, apparently, in these 28, whether they're alive, because either those children are going to be, who are now considerably older, right? They've grown up in captivity, being held by animals. Who knows what's happened to them if they're alive? So now the family will find out finally if those 2 children are alive or dead. And there have been conflicting reports. That's torture. And that's who are students all over America, and the professors who teach them. That's the group they support, the group that took those 2 children. Sick? Yep. Are we going to change it? Yep. So here's a picture Let me see if I can find it here. That's just a picture of the Palestinians returning to southern Gaza, where they had been, moved out so we could wipe out, so that the Israelis could wipe out, God forbid us. I mean, we were against it. They could wipe out Hamas. How many members of Hamas do you think are in there? Every one of them that you see there who was brought up in Palestine, every one of them that you see there was taught to kill Jews and Americans. They were brainwashed to want to do it, and they were often trained in how to do it. And we want to make them into a state. Look how many there are. I don't know if the president slipped or he did it on purpose, but he basically said he wants to see them all moved out of Gaza. He wants to see all the Palestinians moved out of Gaza. Well, of course, they could go back to the countries they came from because there is no Palestinian nationality. Yasser Arafat was an Egyptian. He actually used to make fun of the Palestinian nationality, sort of like I made it up. But that's a large number. There's another picture of it, okay? So if you need to know about them, you don't have to do an awful lot of analysis. All you need to know is they basically come from Egypt because they're particularly the Hamas types because they're closely related to the Muslim Brotherhood, or they come from Jordan. Neither place will take a single one of them. The king of Jordan, particularly, his wife is Palestinian, half Palestinian. He won't take a Palestinian. And our idiots, including some Republicans, are worried about, and we should take them or find places for them. Well, one of the places you can find is Jordan. The other place is Egypt, which are the places they came from. So they're not a problem. You're going to make them into a state so we have another terrorist state? I don't think so. And I don't think we're headed in that direction. And at some point, this agreement is going to blow up. And the sooner the better. I just think it's intolerable that they don't have to, disclose who's alive and who's dead at this point. And the Israeli parents have to wait until the next 6 are delivered, or the next 5, or the next 3. Let's hope that changes really, really quick. When we come back, we're going to talk about the situation with Colombia, where we attempted to return illegal aliens, probably mostly criminals, to Colombia, and the very tough, strong president of Colombia, former terrorist and communist, and present communist Gustavo Petro. No, we're not going to take them back. We're going to take them back. And then for some reason, he actually sent the presidential plane to take them plus double the number back. They always said that Trump couldn't do that. He's been doing it like every day. So we'll be back after we try to sell you something. Okay? All right.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please. Ted. So what are we up to, Ted?
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
Show them, we're going to talk about Colombia. Show them the, retired terrorist, or should we say, a terrorist has never retired, Gustavo Petro, who is the first left-wing president of Colombia in modern history. And he's doing a great job of ruining it. There he is. That's him. He was the one that wanted to stand up to Trump and ended up kissing his ass.
Right.
Which is what they all do. These left-wing dictators and monsters. And so
that's right, Mayor. And we are joined for this discussion by good friend of the show, businessman, writer, Mr. Steve Heck.
Steve, we'll put this right near.
Okay.
So that we can hear you. These microphones are great, but they're very sensitive. You have to talk right into them. So this was an interesting test, right? Everyone wanted to know, how is Trump going to return all these criminals to the place they came from? And Mexico first rejected a flight, and then said, oh, gee, it was a mistake, and now they've taken 5. And then this guy, this terrorist, communist, rejected the flight, and Trump said, I don't know what kind of tariff he was going to put on 100%, or stop trading with them completely, and within seconds, he turned around and sent his plane up there to get the people. So what is going on in Colombia? Colombia is a country I worked in a lot, and they really had made a lot of progress with the FARC, pretty much, got rid of them, with the drug dealers and with the terrorists. And then all of a sudden they end up electing this bum, and the country's economy is falling apart.
Well, Petro, former communist guerrilla, aligned with Maduro, of course.
Right.
And he's not known in Colombia for being very bright. I mean, I know people down there, and that's basically the commentary. Now, you mentioned the FARC. Alvaro Uribe, former president,
Oh, great man.
pretty much wiped out the FARC. And I hate to say it, but the person who saved the FARC, Barack Obama. He brought him back.
Yeah. Brought them back, and they hung on, and now they're getting stronger and stronger again.
Of course.
Yeah.
And guess who's behind them? United States State Department.
Right. Which means we've got to change. Those are the people. Remember, I said there should be a place in Antarctica where they can all study.
I do. I remember
They should
that.
all be sent there.
I had a great time talking to you about that.
Yeah, and then they could write. They could write all kinds of stuff that we could reject, and then we could have real people who represent America in
and no
Colombia.
Communications.
Yeah, no
let them hang out in Antarctica.
Yeah,
and we'll check on them in a few years.
Absolutely, and we're going to have to save on energy up there. We can't be too much heat. We'll give them some heat, but not too much.
Not too much.
So now tell us about Guatemala.
Well, Guatemala is going to be in the news. Apparently, Marco Rubio's going there. I mean, there are news reports. The State Department hasn't made it official, and nobody knows exactly when he's going there. But supposedly, this week he's going to Panama and Guatemala and El Salvador, and I think Dominican Republic. But those are from news reports. Those aren't.
Yeah, it was reported he was going to go to Guatemala first.
I don't know. I don't think he's there. Yeah.
No. And why would he? Let's assume he has chosen that as a priority. Why would he do that?
Well, I could give you a lot of reasons why he would do it, but I would be surprised if he understands it well enough to do what he needs to do to be consistent with the MAGA agenda, to do what President Trump wants done.
So what do you think should be done?
Oh, there's no question. They should investigate what the State Department under Biden and Blinken did to install a fraudulent election. They ran a fraudulent election. They put in their puppet president. There's a statement that just came out today by Guatemalan Civic Association, Liga Pro Patria, and it said that the Biden regime policy was to flood the United States with illegal drugs and migrants, and that the reason for the fraud was to continue that policy because the previous government had been trying to cooperate with the United States on illegal immigration.
And we didn't want to cooperate with them.
That's correct. The past two governments in Guatemala have wanted to cooperate with the United States on legal immigration. Now, this one, they'll pay lip service to it, but that's it. Nothing else. And they have somebody in Guatemala, the Attorney General, Consuelo Porras, who is actually faithful to her oath. Any country would be lucky to have that faithful, courageous of a prosecutor general. And she has been investigating child trafficking. She's been cited for praise by even the Biden Justice Department, which they don't like. They don't mention her name,
right?
Because the State Department is after her. The State Department has, as the statement today from the Liga Pro Patria says, the State Department has been has been trying to unconstitutionally remove her from power, together with Arevalo, its puppet president.
And she basically wants to cooperate with us on, I guess, what's even a bigger problem than drugs, which is human trafficking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Child trafficking. The word
child trafficking is more profitable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge, and we talked about it last time I was here, that there was a hearing in November. Two House Homeland Security subcommittees had a joint hearing, and one of the witnesses says United States government is the largest child trafficking organization.
Yeah, isn't that unbelievable? I mean, that is so shameful. It was never the case, but I mean, Biden has given us that too.
Well, that comes from the whole agenda of flooding the country with illegals, which can be nothing other than purposeful. I mean, you can't make a mistake and have that happen.
Yeah, and well, let's hope that Marco understands that the State Department, you just can't rely on them, and you got to make changes.
Yeah, well, you would hope so.
Bring in your own people.
This is entirely different from being a senator. Senators seek consensus.
Yeah.
And the Secretary of State is an administrator, and he's got a tough job, because the State Department is probably the most corrupt part of our government. I would say it rivals the Justice Department.
Right.
Justice Department is awful, and so there's a huge challenge to, as they say, drain the swamp.
Yeah.
Reform the federal bureaucracy. Instead of having it be a fourth branch of government, it should conform to its constitutional role, and the president is the boss of the executive branch.
Yeah, and they should be carrying out his policy, not theirs.
Exactly. Well, they've been carrying out their own policy probably for the last 70, maybe 80 years.
And what I haven't heard yet from the State Department, like I was reporting from the Justice Department, is they're firing a lot of people. The Justice Department people are going crazy all over the internet, and that they're being fired.
Right.
I love it.
Right. Me too.
Exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah.
The crazier they go, the better off we are.
My
I
information.
haven't been seeing that in the State Department.
Yeah, my information is that the State Department is apoplectic.
They're afraid.
Oh yeah, because
I volunteered to do it. I wanted to be Secretary of State in 2017, but really for the purpose of getting rid of them all. And then I offered the president in 2020, before he was apparent he's going to be cheated out of it, that I'd just come in and do that for him. I was very good at doing that in New York. I'd just fire all the bums, or as I said, move them to Antarctica.
Unfortunately, well, this is not a bad idea. Unfortunately, you weren't Secretary of State, because the United States would be much better off today had you been.
Yeah, but several departments need it desperately. You pick two of them that really, some aren't as bad, but those two are terrible examples. The Defense Department is another, and I think there's no doubt that Hegseth is going to take an axe to them.
Well, this mess with Guatemala is a real test for Rubio. He could really he could do himself a lot of good, and the United States and the Trump administration a lot of good, or he can make big mistakes down there if he does the wrong thing.
Well, let's hope.
Yeah, let's hope.
The one good sign was right at the very end, the Biden administration took Cuba off the terrorist list.
Yeah.
And the first thing Trump did is put him back on.
Well, of course.
For 3 days.
Yeah. I mean, that's outrageous. Well, look at this guy, Petro. I mean, what was he? He was a terrorist.
Yeah.
And here's the problem that's happening. That Petro, of course, he's kind of, that's pretty stupid to say, okay, I'm going to put tariffs on you.
Right. Yeah. Who cares?
And I'm not letting your plane land. What an idiot. But the real problem is that you look at the axis of evil, if you want to call it that, down there. You got Maduro in Venezuela.
Yes,
you got
too many.
Yeah, Petro. You got Lula. You got Boric in Chile. You got the Castro in Honduras. You have all of these hardcore leftist criminal regimes. Well, all of them were protected, supported, some of them installed by the Biden regime, like Lula in Brazil.
Yes, absolutely.
That was a Biden State Department operation.
And Brazil is a disaster now.
Of course.
Yeah.
And not only that.
And they're dying to get Milei out of Argentina.
Oh, yeah. He's a huge threat to them. If he's successful, he creates a model that really shows people what you can do if you're practical. It's like what Trump wants to do in the United States.
Right.
Trump and Milei are natural
But they're
allies.
doing everything. They're doing everything they can to undermine them.
The State Department was supporting all of them. Now, how do you put together, and this is what Trump needs to do, identify the people in all of these countries that he should be working with, like Abascal in Spain, and Maria Fernanda Cabal, the senator in Colombia, and of course Bolsonaro in Brazil. He knows Bolsonaro.
Right.
Milei has already been up here plenty of times.
At the inauguration.
Yeah, exactly. So he knows who the people are. And what he's got to do is try to get these people together. The other side is completely together.
Mhm.
They coordinate, the globalists coordinate all over the world. The problem is that people believe in liberty. They each are looking at their own piece of the pie, and they're not coordinating as well as they should. And so right now, these countries, the dictators in Latin America are looking at, well, how do we resist Trump?
Right.
What do we do? And so Trump needs to counter that. Well, guess what? If Rubio makes a mistake in Guatemala, and if he doesn't apply the law, if he doesn't know what happened, and people need to know, they should create a commission. And that commission, an American commission, it should study the State Department's role in Guatemala's 2023 election. And if it does that, and it's a really competent commission, not like the January 6th committee of Nancy Pelosi, right?
Right.
A real commission studying that thing, informing the American public, and of course the Guatemalan public has an interest in it, what really happened in 2023. Then he can take corrective measures.
Right.
And if he doesn't do that, the message to Petro and all these others is, hey, there's a hole in the Trump administration.
Yeah,
So it's very delicate for him.
And we can, on the surface, whenever we need to, cooperate and then do our dirty work.
Yeah, it's very delicate for Rubio. The Guatemala situation is unbelievably complicated for him and full of danger if he doesn't have a complete handle on it. Now, I don't know how he would, because all of the people that used to work in the State Department, nobody who used to be there is going to tell him the truth. And a lot of those people have resigned, like Brian Nichols and Todd Robinson. They're gone. And those people need to be investigated by the Justice Department, by the congressional committees in the Senate and the House.
Well, I'm hoping that Marco's anti-communist background would mean that he understands the problems of the State Department, because he certainly understands it with regard to Cuba from his own background and the speeches that he's given. So let's hope.
Yes, I would certainly.
And the president, I think, understands it.
Well, I think it's pretty clear from all of the things that have been happening that the State Department was nervous. People were asked to resign by the transition team before the inauguration. So it's very clear that Trump is controlling this.
Yeah,
he's not waiting around for anybody.
Well, every good president controls his own foreign policy.
Yeah.
The Secretary of State can be a plus or doesn't matter.
Well, under Pompeo, they undermine Trump all the time.
Yeah. That's why he's not there.
Yeah, that's right. And that those people didn't want you there, I guarantee it.
No. They sat on the report. Pompeo sat on the report about Biden for a year, promising me he was going to investigate it. So I'm not a big Pompeo fan.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Well, thank you very much. And we're going to come back and we'll have a short discussion of football, and then we'll let people start thinking about tomorrow. Thank you, Steve.
Steve's a regular viewer, and we love having him on. And
people, thank you.
All things Central and South America.
It's a great thing to look at, to see how it works out as a sign of what direction we're going to be going in.
And we'll be right back after the short break.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost. cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly, where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code Rudy. Act fast.
We're back.
Welcome back. And as I said, we're going to discuss the football and where, as we lead up to the Super Bowl, where everybody stands. So, Steve, we can get you into this too. Although our real football expert is Ted. So, Ted, tell us your analysis of both the Chiefs and the Bills.
That's right. So, well, the Super Bowl will be between the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles. And the last time, are we recapping last weekend, or are we previewing?
Now, you can recap it. I mean,
well, we talked about 2 years ago. So it's the Eagles and Chiefs again for the second time in 3 years. The last time this happened, I was watching with Mayor Giuliani, President Trump, and Mr. Victor
President Trump.
Yes, he was at the time the former president, the 45th president.
He was just beginning his campaign.
I'm not even sure if he announced he was running yet.
He hadn't announced yet, but he was quite clear that he was going to run.
And so we had a lot of fun watching that game with him. That was 2 years ago. Last year was the Chiefs and the 49ers. And this year you went and watched last year with the president as well. I did not. Crazy that was a year ago already.
Yep.
And now this year we have the Chiefs and Eagles once again. And I'm willing to bet that the Chiefs are actually the favorite, but let's see.
Well, they have to be the favorite. They will be the favorite because they've won the Super Bowl so often. They're going to go in, and the thought will be they're ready for it, and the other team will have they'll have trouble, adjusting to the enormity of playing in a game like that.
Right. So the Chiefs are favored by 1.5.
That's pretty tight.
That's pretty tight, especially with the Eagles.
Well, that's pretty tight because you would pretty much grant them a point or two just for being the former champs.
Right. And of course, the Eagles have Saquon Barkley, who they got off of your team. So they're maybe the best runner in the game.
Every time I see him run.
And he's had maybe two of the best, so his first 2 games ever in the playoffs.
Well, how about running for a touchdown on the first play from scrimmage?
60-something yards.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing they give him the ball, and actually, the Commanders. I can't even say that.
Right.
The Commanders. It's like a prophylactic. The Commanders used to be the Redskins, by the way, who now wear burgundy rather than red. They won't even wear red now. Woke jackasses.
Right.
So they look really good on the first series. They went right down the field, but tellingly they had to settle for a field goal.
Right.
So now the Eagles get the ball, and the first thing they do is give it to Saquon Barkley, and the next thing he does is go to the end zone.
Right. And we're showing that.
That was the game. I'm telling you, that was the game.
Yeah, this is the first play from scrimmage.
Look at that roll. Look at that. And the Giants gave him up. Maybe the best runner. I would say he's the best runner in football.
No doubt.
And probably the best one this generation when he finishes. I mean, assuming he stays healthy.
Right.
He's powerful as hell, too. Not a big guy, but I don't know if you saw a couple of the people that bounced off him.
Right.
He's very, very powerful, and he's faster than anyone. The other running back got in the third or fourth quarter, got a lead like that, and they ran him down.
Right.
I knew the minute he had a step on him that nobody's going to run him down.
Right.
I mean, he's both powerful and fast. And what did he score? 2 touchdowns yesterday?
3.
3, yeah. So I think he's the difference between the two teams. And they used him really brilliantly after that because the play action, passing, and running was superb.
Right.
And I knew they were going to do that. And they set up to do that.
Right.
That first run, I think, was intended to be a big gain.
I do too.
So that psychologically, you just worry about Saquon Barkley
Right.
And you can't worry about Saquon Barkley and really, cover the quarterback the way you want to.
Right. Like you said, it
And
really.
I believe the same thing will happen with the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are ready for him.
Okay. I think they have a few more weapons on defense, a lot of experience, right? They've seen.
Well, the Chiefs have a lot of experience. I think the safe bet for the Chiefs. I think if I hadn't taken a good look at yesterday's game, which also demonstrates that Philadelphia's got one hell of a defense.
Right. They do.
I'm not sure that they've. Tell me a defense in the that Kansas City has seen this year that is as good as Philadelphia.
You'd have to really think
in
of,
the AFC.
You have to think, if anything, the Bills.
AFC?
I think the Bills have a solid defense.
They do, but it's not the Eagles.
Yeah. And they don't have a secondary. So I think the Ravens, maybe. Ravens got a pretty tough
And Kelsey,
defense.
I mean, what did he score? What did he get? 2 passes?
Right.
I mean, they don't pass to him anymore because he's all he's doing is thinking about Taylor Swift.
Yeah. So we'll get to see 2 more weeks
and
of Taylor
counting
Swift.
the money.
Right. So we'll see 2 more weeks.
Is it true that Taylor Swift is going to kick in the next game for the?
Yeah. She might be athletic enough.
You think
I could see her kicking a football.
Better than she sings?
Yes.
You know I don't think.
Yeah, I know you don't think. I
think she's a noisemaker.
I wish she didn't endorse Kamala Harris, but I can't say I hate Taylor Swift.
I don't hate her.
Yeah, that's a strong word, right?
I hate her.
Yeah.
I just think she's.
Yeah. And she's my age.
Just
I've
another
kind of grown up with her, right? She's kind of like
just another make-believe singer.
Yeah.
Who, is basically making it on her legs.
She's probably the biggest star of my generation, though, I would say.
Yeah, how is that? Based on what?
I think you mentioned, but part of it is looks. Unfortunately, for better or for worse, right? I think looks and then talent.
As far as I can tell, and I've been told this rather than
good marketing.
So I don't want to pretend to be an expert, but aren't all the songs about her boyfriends who leave her?
A lot of them are, or she's leaving them, or they're breaking up.
Why does that happen?
Huh? Right. At some point, maybe the problem, and maybe she has a song that, the problem is me.
Well, maybe maybe Kelsey's going to have to leave her or so she can get a new song.
Eventually they'll have to break up for the music. You're right. I mean, right. At something, the football player, the All-American girl, the All-American tight end.
We had somebody with us watching the game yesterday that is convinced that they cheat for the Chiefs so they can get a better audience by having Taylor Swift to the Super Bowl. What do you think of that?
There's some possibility with that. That would be at least a reason to cheat. I don't like when people try to claim like they're cheating in favor of this team or that team. If they're cheating, it's maybe an individual who's been compromised by money, and you never know where the money is, right? I mean, they're cheating for a monetary gain. They're not cheating on behalf of the Kansas City Chiefs football team, right?
Of all the gambling on football is there's a great motive to do it.
Right. Now with gambling, you're right, Mayor. And I'll say I've gambled a lot less.
I would imagine that this Super Bowl, given all the gambling outlets that exist now, it'll be the most money gambled on it.
Right. Yes, that's probably a very.
You know what I used to do as U.S. Attorney? Every Super Bowl, the day before, we raided all the gambling places because we could pick up a lot of money. It was massive. And the stupid idiots kept doing it.
Yeah.
The FBI would do it. We would get the help of the police. We raided every one of the gambling joints.
And they're all stocked full of money, ready for the game.
And you'd pick up all this money. And
what happens?
Every year they would do it.
So what happens? Everyone loses their money from their bets?
I don't know. I don't know what happens. They probably have a lot laundered and stashed away for a rainy day.
for situations like that?
Yeah.
But you would literally find stashes of cash?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tradition. I didn't,
I mean, the team, yeah.
Finally, I really thought we had better things to spend our time on than gambling. But the FBI, just love doing this.
It's good for PR too.
Maybe they were ready for it, and they just had enough money around to keep the FBI happy. I don't know. But the real problem, what the real problem for law enforcement is on a Super Bowl Sunday? It's the worst day for domestic abuse in America.
Wow,
that's sad. Beat the hell out of women on Super Bowl Sunday than any day of the year. They get drunk, and you can do all the speculating you want. Maybe we'll get an expert on.
Yeah, that's interesting.
To explain it, but I didn't know that until I became U.S. Attorney. But It's the worst day of the year by far.
Wow.
And the worst day of the year for people being burned, losing their eyesight, is the 4th of July.
Oh, I was
Because
gonna
of
say
the
Christmas.
of the illegal, no, the illegal. That's the worst time for fire.
House fires.
House fires. Almost every Christmas season when I was mayor, I'd say 6 of the 8, we lost firefighters during Christmas.
From fires.
Yeah, and you go back and you look at the history of New York City, and it's a terrible time for firefighters. Very
Right.
dangerous. But Super Bowl Sunday, for some reason, the men getting drunk, maybe.
Yeah, it's got to be. That's what it is.
Men
Drinking all
getting
day,
drunk, I don't.
and like you said, betting and betting
Well,
money.
the domestic violence, Stephen, is pretty much one way. Yeah, there's a little. Every once in a while, you get a woman who beats up some silly little sissy, but
Yeah.
who probably deserved it.
Yeah.
But no, basically, domestic violence is a male. Well, violent crime is a male issue, not a female issue.
Murder is a male.
92% of the murder is a male.
Surprising.
92% of the population is not male.
No, that's right.
We got to own that one as a male problem.
Well, do we have to now? It's 2025.
Oh, sure we do. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go looking for females for murder. If the males are doing it, that's
Yeah, I'm making it.
I mean, that's
I'm
what
making a
that-
joke about. We're not sure who's a male
that's
now.
what the left wingers
Right.
always used to say.
Right.
Why is it that 70% of the people that are searched are black? Because they commit 75% of the murders, jerk. And why do you think we're looking for them? Because other black people call up and identify them as black. Like that's one of the things that she used in looking for a suspect. And who identifies the black as the murderer? Black people. Since black people basically kill black people. They don't kill white people, very rarely. It's basically a black on black crime. And the selection is made by another black person, which is why most black people want more cops rather than less.
Right.
When I would go to Harlem, after being excoriated for the number of police that I had by the left-wing city council, the people in Harlem were angry at me that I didn't have enough. And I empathized with them, and they were absolutely right. I didn't have enough, and I went and got more.
Right.
But if I listened to the politicians, I would have gotten rid of the entire police department, which after I left as mayor, or after Bloomberg left, they did. New York City Police Department defunded by $1 billion, and it's never been made up. I had 41,000 policemen. They have 34,000 policemen.
Right.
That's a big difference, a big defunding. And Adams has actually tried, but he's got a city council that's probably left of Columbia, right?
Right.
I mean, they're unbelievably crazy. I mean, they passed a law. The New York City Council passed a law 2 years ago to allow non-citizens to vote, even though the New York State Constitution makes citizenship a qualification to vote. I mean, they have no legal authority to do that. They just did it. And it still hasn't been decided by the crooked New York courts. They've entered an injunction. They can't figure it out because they're afraid, because
Right.
the judges are controlled by the Democratic leaders, which is why you saw those 2 trials involving Trump that were a travesty.
Right.
So
Right.
we'll be back tomorrow night. We're going to get closer to Robert Kennedy's hearing and see what happens with that. We'll see the progress that's made, because it's stunning the amount of progress that's made in turning this government around. I thought that order by the president dewoking the Defense Department was terrific. I hope to see more of them. Apropos what we've been talking about before, I'd like to see that done in the State Department. I don't see why not. I thought Rubio did make at least one good initial step when he said, it seems ridiculous that he'd have to say it, but only one flag should be up. And then they were confused about which one. So he said one flag. He didn't know that he had to say American. So in a lot of these places, they put up the country's flag because that's who they think they represent. But then he clarified it, and they all had to put up American flags. I'm only kidding. That's a joke. Ha, 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 ha. Okay. Well, we had a great time tonight. We got to tell you lots of things that you don't hear anywhere else, which I always love to do. Who knows how many more they're going to be tomorrow. So tomorrow, you can get us at 7, right? You can always get us on X, but also on Lindell Speech, which is the new name for Frank's Speech. Lindell TV, I know I keep saying Lindell Network. I don't know why, but it's Lindell TV. But you can also get us on X from 7 to 8. And then at 8, you can get us on our Trusty American Mayor Live on X and just about every other social network except TikTok, the communist Chinese spies. Put it on TikTok. We want it gone. I'd like to see it taken over by non-communist Chinese loyal American owners, and then maybe we would go on, right? But not going on that place with they're reporting everything to ByteDance and Red China. There's enough of that. They have infiltrated us in a way that is, I mean, a brilliant from their point of view, and scandalous and tragic from ours, as to how unaware we are or how easily we sell out our country. Scary. We'll be back tomorrow. Pray for the people in Israel. I don't know if they aren't reviving Hamas. You see those numbers going back. Some of them have to be terrorists. And pray for the people in Iran, because I really do think, particularly with the bombs that were given to Israel that Biden held back, those are all bunker buster bombs. I don't know what they're intended for. What do you think? And of course, the people of Ukraine. Let's hope that comes to an end, because that's just useless, what's going on right now. And I really do think Trump can get a much better deal out of Putin than people think. You watch. Well, God bless America. God bless all of you, and we'll see you tomorrow night. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. It was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason